hello, and welcome. My name is Lee Cara. This is Unleash Your Light. I'm super excited to be here today. Yes, my lips are blue. This is not a trick of the light. I'm 49 years old. I'll wear blue glitter lipstick if I want to, right? I hope you guys are having a nice week. This has been great here. Hi, Rick. Welcome. I am in Virginia, y'all, and we had the first snow of the season. I shared a little video of that. You can scroll down on my wall, just kind of driving through the fall leaves. So beautiful. I still get giddy every time it snows, y'all. I still get super giddy because for me, this is like still a novelty. I lived in Florida for 27 years. I lived in Florida for 27 years. And in that 27 years, all the time, I was hoping to be somewhere that it snowed. So it is super exciting to be somewhere that it snows, even if it was just for one night. All right, I think that we are all set. Whew. All right, you guys. Today's show, I think, is going to be really good. When I asked this morning, what am I going to show on? So I drive my son to school at like 6:40-ish. I get there at 7, and then the whole drive back is just me and myself and my brain and divine. And so I'm asking universe, hi Cindy, welcome. I'm asking universe today, so what are we going to talk about? And they said, we're going to tell you when you wake up from your nap. Hi John, it's nice to see you. We're going to tell you when you wake up from your nap because, I come back and go back to sleep when I can. That is way too early to be getting up in the morning. I feel bad for my son having to do it. Of course, I guess I'm doing it too because I'm driving him to school. But once again, this is not a mess up on your camera. My lips are blue. My eyes are blue. I'm having fun. What can I say? So when I got up from my nap, the first thing that I heard was, you're going to speak about our voice. I'm like, you're going to speak about our voice? What the heck are you talking about? You're going to speak about our voice. Okay, I guess I can do that. So here I am. I'm going to talk about divine voice. So what is the divine voice? Heck, what is the divine, right? Everybody kind of has their own definition of God, universe, the light, Sophia, Gaia, Fred. Doesn't matter what you call it as long as you're seeking, right? And everybody has their own interpretation of what that voice is. Hey, we got my co-host back here. Which one of my co-hosts is that? Let's see. Oh, that's my cube. That's my cubey dooby back there. So everyone kind of has their own version of what they like to call the light, what they like to call God, what they like to call whatever that collective consciousness, higher energy that runs through every single one of us is, right? Everybody has their own way to refer to it. They're all right. They're all fine. As long as you're seeking, it's seeking you. As long as you are looking, you are found, right? So the voice that I'm speaking about is that voice that comes from that. Now, I'm going to share with you a little bit about myself. I have heard voices for many, many years, but the voices that I heard were usually very mean, very rude, very hateful. I had a chorus of voices going on in my head all the time. Hi, Ela, welcome. In my head all the time, this chorus of hateful voices. And now I call it the negative narrative rather. Now I call it that thing that's constantly like telling you why you're not good enough and telling you why you can't do that. But in my mind, I had 1,000 of them. And they were distracting to the point that I always had to have noise on in the background to occupy them because I couldn't think straight with them doing their thing. So I had to have music on and the TV on and something to constantly occupy what, in my mind, all these other voices. Hi, Sabal, welcome. So through that cacophony of sound, I often liken it to when you're in a food court at a mall. It's got those real high ceilings, right? Like an atrium food court. And you hear everyone else's conversations around you. You hear the clanging, you hear, people using their silverware or their, throwing things and phones ringing. And it wasn't phones ringing back, when back in the day, but, hi Blanca, welcome. And I would hear this all the time, this echoing cacophony of voices, but I could hear every one of them. And they were almost always being horrible to me, telling me why I'm a failure. Hi, Linda, welcome. Telling me why I'm a failure and telling me why I'm a loser and telling me why nobody will love me and telling me why my husband at the time or my boyfriend at the time or the people in my life were all pretending to like me, and they would not have a problem if you just died. Like nobody would care if you just didn't show up for work and didn't show up for life and you just disappeared off the face of the earth, and nobody would care, right? That's just a sampling of what my cacophony of voices would say to me all the time, all day long, every day. And God forbid I look in a mirror, because the cursing at me would start so quickly, that negative narrative, those voices in my head. I hated myself. And so the voices hated me too. They were expressing all of my unconscious fears. And yes, many of them sounded like family members. That's true. Because many of my triggers, as your triggers, were installed by family members. And so oftentimes this thing in our head sounds like someone we know and love. And that makes it all the more confusing. Because we think, oh, well, my sister loves me. Why would she say this stuff to me? It must be true. My mother loves me. Why would she say all this stuff to me? It must be true. They must see something in me that I don't see, but I see it now. So we all have a little bit of this. I don't know that all of you have this many voices. We all have a little bit of this. Everyone has a negative narrative that runs through their head. Everyone has something in their head that is a refrain that repeats over and over again. You're a failure, you're a loser, you're stupid, you're fat, you're ugly, no one will love you, whatever it is that your particular flavor, is of this refrain that plays in our heads. But there is another voice. There is another voice that can come through. There is another way to be speaking to yourself and to be spoken to by those voices. And that is the voice of divine, the voice of God, the voice of Sophia, the voice of Gaia, however you like to refer to the light. That voice is in there with you all the time. And it's hearing all of those things that you're saying to yourself. It's hearing all of those things that the refrain, the chorus, is saying to you as well. But if we can pick through the other voices, if we can pick through the other messages, if we can start to push those aside so that what we hear is the divine voice, then the conversation in our head starts to change. Then the way that we interact with the world starts to change. And how do we do that? Hi, Sid, welcome. How do we do that? How do you sort through all of these other voices to find the voice of divine? Well, first of all, it sounds different for everyone. It can sound different day to day. It can sound like a chorus of angels, and it can sound like Danny DeVito. The voice of divine sounds in a voice that you will connect with. The voice of divine sounds in a voice that you will respond to, that you will understand. And when you really get connected to it, it often sounds like your voice. Picking out the voice of divine from the cacophony of other sounds is very similar to listening to an orchestra. And I've definitely said this before on the show. When you hear an orchestra warming up, And all of the instruments are playing their sounds. Highly you're welcome. All of the instruments are playing their sounds, and all of the instruments are going through their warm-up ceremonies and just making a lot of noise, right? If you can pick out one voice, one instrument out of that, that is how you pick out the voice of the divine. And so if we liken that to one of the softest instruments, maybe a piccolo, when you can pick out the piccolo from all of the loud voices that we are putting together with our negative narrative and our pain, when you can pick out the piccolo from the sounds of the timpani and the trumpets and the tubas and the violins that are screeching so loudly, when you can pick out that tiny piccolo from all those voices, that's where the divine starts. That's where it starts. If you don't hear the divine now, listen for that piccolo. So what does the piccolo sound like? What does the divine voice sound like? As I said, its actual voice, its actual tone is going to be different for everyone. But the energy behind it, the emotion behind it, and the message that it will bring is the same for everyone. That divine voice is a voice that is so loving, that makes you feel so safe and so beloved and so taken care of. That voice that you carry, hi Dale, welcome. That's how you pick out the piccolo. It's sweet and it's loving. And it wraps you in its energy. Now, some of us don't even know what that feels like. I know that when I first started hearing the voice, and when I first got my awakening and I felt love for the first time, like real love, I was 42, almost 43. And I had never, ever, ever felt a love like that before. It was amazing. The closest thing I could liken it probably to is the very first moments of holding your child. The very first moments. Because right after that, we usually start worrying about all the things we're going to do wrong and all the ways we're going to mess up that kid and everything. We're not going to be able to afford it, and all of the other voices start to come in. But in that first moment, with nothing but joy, that's one of those moments. For some people, it's that first moment of that a puppy makes you feel. The way that we get that little exclamation with us, right? And we get all like excited, connected. And for just one moment, all we feel is that joy and that bliss of being in that moment with that puppy, or being in that moment with that new baby. That's what the voice feels like when you hear it. Saying something comforting, saying something supportive, telling you not to worry. Now, many of you already hear the voice. Many of you hear multiple voices from what you like to call angels or guides. That's all beautiful. But so many are still having a hard time picking out the voice of divine. And that's who this video is for. For those of you still seeking that voice of divine within yourself. Because the voice of divine can give you guidance, can lead you in the right direction, can help you make decisions. It's really helpful, actually. But there's a lot of things to remember about that voice of divine. So let's talk about some of those things that once you start hearing it, once you've put in the work, once you have put in the silence, and I did a whole video on the power of silence and sitting in the silence and pushing aside all the other voices so you can pick out the divine. If you go to my website, unleashyourlight.org, I believe it's the video that's featured when you scroll down the page from YouTube. I have it all edited up with lots of quotes and blah, 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 blah. And by the way, please go to my YouTube channel, subscribe, hit the bell, blah, 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 because I'm trying to build up over there. As Facebook changes and shifts, I want to be prepared for the next wave so that I can stay connected to you guys. So this voice of divine that we've already decided it's the voice of the piccolo, right? It's that feeling of bliss and joy and being beloved in the moment that it comes through for us. But how do we deal with it? What do we hear? And what does divine do and doesn't do? Okay. Like I said, divine can be really good guidance. I have my little rocks. You know, I always have my rose quartz, y'all, right? This one is an amethyst. So that's for, you know, third eye. And it's actually a raw one, so it came right off of the rock. So I was drawn to this one today since we're talking about that connection, right? So here's the thing that the voice can do for you. It can give you guidance. It can correct you when you do something wrong. I often hear it when I lose my temper a little bit driving. And I'm not like a road rage person, but I will give the occasional dumbass, hey, what are you doing kind of a thing. Hey, go, you know, you didn't move to the left enough and now I got to sit here. Every once in a while, not too often. And when I do, I always hear, like a little kind reminder. I know, I'm sorry. You're right. It's okay. Because there's no reason for me to get agitated about something so little like that. There's no reason to pull myself out of my connection for something little like that. Although we are always connected, even in our anger. It points to something that I still am working on. And so I go, all right, I hear you. When I have those moments in the 3D that are learning moments, I hear it pointing at me. I hear it say something. Pay attention. Pay attention to this right now. But you have to really be an observer of what you're doing to hear that voice. You have to be able to pull back from your day-to-day experience to really hear that voice. Because when we're in our feelings about things, we tend to be in what I call the primal section of our emotions. And we're not thinking of it from the observer, from the love and light, from the hippy-dippy, woo-woo, Pollyanna, you know, stuff that we all try to achieve in our life every day. Because I'm 49 years old, Kumar, and I happen to like blue. It's for fun. Yeah, isn't that interesting, Cindy? A lot of people grow fangs when they're driving. A lot of people grow fangs when they're driving. A lot of people shift 1,000%. You get in the car with them. Oh, we're going to go to a meditation retreat. And then it's 3 hours of screaming and cursing at the road. And what is it? Look at this guy. Right? It's like some people only put on their spirituality hat or their divine connection hat when they're in those spaces, like when you're in the church, when you're in the yoga studio, when you're in your safe space in your house, when you're sitting at your altar, when you're doing your meditation. But that voice is with us all the time. So it's not like it stops listening. It's not like it stops paying attention to what we're doing when we're not in a state of, Om. It's with us all the time. And because I have chosen to tune into that, it's like I'm constantly getting course correction. Boop, boop, boop. Pushing me back on track, reminding me of where I'm supposed to be, reminding me of my mindset, helping me stay online. Thank you, Cindy. Helping me stay online, in line, on that GPS to where I'm going. And I always look at it as I need to pay attention because this was a spot where I lost my poo. This was a spot where I went off track. This is a place that needs a little bit of healing. And so I always try to pay attention when I get those course corrections, because they show me where the work needs to be done. When I'm feeling some type of way about what someone else does, I get a course correction. I just got a course correction this week, y'all. And I don't know that I want to go too deep into it. Oh, I mean, I'll always go too deep into it. So for those of you who don't know, I have a book that just came out. And my book I'm going to do like a party for it here locally. If you are in the Virginia area, Williamsburg, or if you want to take a nice trip, it is beautiful here, especially this time of year. It is on November 22nd. Hi, Lucius Merriweather. How are you? So this was my personal course correction. For me, was a spot that I really had to sit with. Okay. So my ex, my son's father, lives, I don't know, an hour away, 45 minutes away, with his lady friend. But we were married, we're married for 25, 26. We've been together like 26 years. And so this transition that I've been going through, this awakening that I've been going through it since late 2012, early 2013, when we were still like together. And it's been a very difficult transition. As you guys know, going through the awakening is not an easy thing. It brings up a lot of your own stuff, and you start to change as a person. And when you change, all the people around you start to change, and sometimes in good ways and sometimes in not so good ways. Through that change is where we find our new shape, is where we learn to listen to the voice, right? So now here we are, 2019. It is many years later. We've been separated for about 4 years, and almost 4 years. And so I'm having this book event. And of course, we're still very good friends, my son's father and I. And so, of course, I want him to be there. I invited him to come, and he messaged me that his lady friend would like to come as well. Now, I haven't met his lady friend. His lady friend has met my son multiple times. I hear she's very nice, but I have not met her yet. And here's this event that means so much to me personally, that has been a journey that a lot of it was right alongside of my son's father, my soon-to-be ex. And here he is coming with someone that I don't know to this event. And I have to navigate those emotions for the first time. And of course, my first instinct was, what? Really? Really? This is what we want to do now? Like, I'm happy to meet her, but here, you know. And I had a moment. I had a moment of questioning myself, of questioning his intentions, of questioning the situation, of recognizing I'm going to have to go through this in front of a room full of people that I don't know. Because I invited 10 strangers to the event that day, because I did a book event with my publisher, and I didn't think twice about inviting 10 strangers. But here's a person that my son's father loves, and I had a thing. Thanks, Cindy. And I sat with it. You know, I had my reaction, and then I sat with it, and I thought about it, and I listened to the voice. I didn't just think about it and think about all my own personal insecurities about that. Questioning intention, questioning why. I did for a minute. But when I recognized that was what I was doing, I took a deep breath, and I asked the universe, is this how it's supposed to happen? Is this how it's supposed to happen? Now, the interesting thing is that when they started dating, it turns out that she was already listening to me. She didn't know that we were connected. And she was already like watching the show from time to time and wanted to go to some of my live events. And neither of them knew that when they connected. So I sat in this energy. I sat listening to the voice of divine saying, look, tell me what to do. My human had this very worried reaction. My human had this fear-based reaction. And so I slept on it. That's a key. Not sleeping on it, but recognizing that the divine doesn't always answer your question in the moment that you're asking it. Divine doesn't always give you the answer that you want in the moment that you are asking that question. That's a big thing. Because sometimes we think when that voice doesn't come through as soon as I ask the question that we're not going to get an answer. And then we move along. And we may feel some type of way about divine not giving us our answer. And the answer that I got, yes, Pamela, the answer that I got is, you're safe. All is well. There's no need to worry about this because this is not your situation. That's not where you are. That's where you were. You used to have to worry about who he was talking to. You used to have to worry about what was going on in his life that way. But that's not your situation now. And it's all good. It's all love. And other people's intentions are none of your business. Other people's feelings about you are none of your business. Who cares? Stay in yourself. Stay in your love. Be fully you, the you that you have been working on, and that this book is all about developing. And so the very next day, I texted him back and said, bring her. It's fine. Bring her if you want. I'm good. And he asked me, why the big change? I asked for guidance. I thought about it. I slept on it. I let my heart speak. Because the heart is that connection to that divine. Was my first instinct that? No. A little bit. A little bit. But my human was not ready to let go of the fear. The human was not ready to let go of my instinct to protect myself. But the divine reminded me. The divine reminded me that I am safe, that I am loved, that I am joy. The divine is always trying to remind us that we are protected, we are safe, we are loved, even through those things that are difficult, even through those things that hurt, even through those things that we would rather not go through. Even as we mourn, even as we cry, even as we yell, even as we rage, we are still protected in that. Although sometimes those actions can kind of give us a little bit of a little bit of an effect where they come and kick your little ass for doing that sort of stuff. Kuba, I don't really do the whole advisor thing. I don't do that kind of stuff. Sorry. I do have a friend named Teresa LaPrey who does a lot of that kind of stuff. But I'm not driven by the voice of divine to do that yet. Maybe at some point in the future, but not yet. I am still in my space of my own transformation and sharing that. And through my experiences and through the voice that divine gives me, other people relate to it because we're all in this together. And those that need the message find me. Before I come on, I always do a little, hi, Mandy, welcome. Mandy ordered one of my books, y'all. So they're going out tomorrow, all the books that got ordered. Very exciting. And if you want to order a book, you can go to unleashyourlight.org, and there's a little PayPal link there. Plink, and you can just click it and order the book. On the PayPal, it's $9.95 plus tax and shipping. If you send me a personal message, I can give you a little bit better deal than that. Yeah. Anyways, so that voice of divine that we're all trying to hear, that we're all trying to listen to, you really have to be tuned into it, and you have to want to hear it. So let's talk about the things that the voice doesn't do and the ways that we think are not divine voice, but actually are 1,000% divine voice. Okay, so the first thing, like I said, is that voice of divine does not answer your questions in real time usually. Sometimes it does. If you're really tuned in, if you've really been working on it, sometimes it is in real life, and you'll immediately hear, nope. Like I talked about with the traffic, with the car thing earlier, I hear immediately, nope. Nope, that's not what you should be doing. So, Pamela, I have a free book on my website also. So if you want to download the PDF for the free one, that's going to be the next one going out into print. It is called Simple Spirituality of Self. And you can also go to unleashyourlight.org, and it's labeled at the top free ebooks. And you can just go there and download that one for free in a PDF. And it's not going to be published probably for another maybe 8 or 9 months, depending on how quickly I'm able to get caught up on what I used for that and then start on the next one. So it's going to be a whole series of books on empathy and connection and love and, the universe and all that good stuff. So that voice may not answer you in real time. That voice may not answer you as a boom, instant, here you go, here's your answer. But you do have the access to always ask the question. You have a direct line to the universe because the universe is inside of it. You have a direct line to God, the light, Sophia, Gaia, Fred, it doesn't matter. You have that divine connection all the time. I do this because that's how telephones used to be. You held a telephone like this. You have that connection all the time. But it doesn't work on our timing, it works on divine timing. So just like when you ask for manifestation or you want something to happen or you're trying to figure out, I'm doing all the right things and why isn't my thing coming? It's divine timing. Because part of our journey is to work through this stuff. So the universe will often watch us floundering, watch us trying to figure stuff out, watch us in the deep end, like trying to doggy paddle, and keep our heads above water for a minute before they step in and offer us the lifeline, or before they step in and push our head under for a minute. Because sometimes we're really not doing what we should be doing while we're waiting for that answer. We're not using our heart. We're not using the things that we've learned. We're not using those tools of being the observer. And we're not trying to connect, meditate, blah, 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 however you do it. We'll often sit and spin in our primal pain, in that place in us that is built from fear and shame and guilt. And we'll sit there for way too long. Breathe is a good thing to say, Pamela, absolutely. Divine doesn't work on your timetable. Divine doesn't work on my timetable. The divine wants us to fly. If we think about our kids, okay, there are times when our children are little, and sometimes when they're a little older, and sometimes when they're grown, that we have to let them fall. There are times when your child is trying to open their juice box, and we want to swoop in and do it for them, right? So if we swoop in and we do it for them, what happens the next time they want to open a juice box? Can they do it? Do they know how? Are they able to? If you've always opened the chip bag for your kid and you send them off to kindergarten, who opens their chips when they're away from you? How do they eat? If you do your child's homework, even though they're struggling, if you step in and you do their homework so they can get a good grade, are they learning the math? Are they learning the words? Are they learning what they need to learn? And this is how divine deals with us. This is how divine deals with us. Divine steps in and watches what we're doing. And if we aren't helping ourselves, then divine doesn't help us. It's one of the rules that my son's father and I have always had, is that our oldest is 30, almost 30, and 28, almost 28. And the thing that I say a lot is that if you are helping yourself, then we will help you. So when our grown children reach out to us for money, if they are helping themselves, then we will help them. But if they are just sitting there saying, I don't have enough money for this, I don't have enough money for that, but not working, not trying, not putting in the effort, then we don't help. That's how the universe is with us. It's like tough love. Tough love is kind of a thing that, it's kind of gone out of trend. But the universe gives us the space to make mistakes. The universe gives us the space to try to solve things ourselves. But if we listen, if we really listen, then we can pick out that voice when it does say to us, here's a little help. Here's a little nugget of knowledge. Turn left, not right. Sometimes we don't know at all what to do. Maybe that means you need to sit still for a minute. Maybe constant movement and constant action, constantly going forward is not what you need. Maybe you need to sit for a minute. Or maybe it is that very indecision of not choosing anything that paralyzes you. Maybe it is those moments where you are paralyzed that you can tune in. So that's the first thing, is that the answer, the divine voice, doesn't come when we want it to come because we want it to come. You have to really be tuned in a huge way to hear the divine voice on command. And some people are that tuned in. And if you are, good on you. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. So the next thing that happens with divine voice is that it often doesn't say what we want it to say. It often doesn't look at situations the way that we want it to look at situations. That can be a rough one. That can be a rough one. Because often the solution that divine wants us to do is not a solution that we want to do. Like, apologize to that person. Because when we're going through something, that support that we want support that is our side, our position, that says you were right to get mad at that person, or you were right to speak in that way, or you were right to take that stance in that discussion. We want divine to be on our side because we want to think that we're doing right. But guess what? That is not always what we end up hearing. And many of us will close our ears to anything that is not the way that we want to see the world. I did a show on this last week or the week before. And one of the things that I said is that insistence creates resistance. By insisting that you are right, by insisting that your point of view is the only point of view, you are literally blocking out God's voice, the light's voice, divine voice, because you already have the answer. And if you are speaking as if you already have the answer, then the universe is going to go, hey, you got this, right? Let's see where this goes. And it sits back and it lets things play out in a way that is not always fun. It will let things play out in a way that is of your making without any divine intervention. Well, maybe with some, because you allowed it. They allow you to have these experiences. So that's how we grow, right? That's how we grow. We all have that divine voice. Just it may not sound like what we think it should sound. And while it is always loving, while it is always making us safe, while it is always with us, I tend to think that there's quite a sense of in that divine voice. There's a lot of tough love because they took this experience on us anything. It's tough love. And when we can master it, when we can live in that space, everything shifts. Everything changes. The way you see and hold things changes. So if you have not picked out your divine voice yet, definitely give it a shot. Try to listen through the cacophony. Try to listen through all the voices. And if you have picked out the voice, allow it to speak. say what it needs to say to you. Allow it the space to give you the lesson. Sometimes it may not be the lesson that we want to get. Sometimes we may have to totally shift what we're doing. Sometimes we may have to expose ourselves to situations that are going to be painful. That's what life is about. It's about joys, it's about sorrows, it's about pain, it's about the pleasure. It's about the experience of being here and embodying that unconditional love, forgiveness, and empathy. I always call it the holy trinity of emotions. Unconditional love, empathy, forgiveness. It's about living every day. And as you do that, your life will change. Not only will your life change, everyone around you, their life will change. And not only will their life change, you change the world. Just be the change. It's about you. All right, I love you guys so very much. Thank you so much for being here with me, whether you're watching now, Pamela, or on the replay. Feel free to reach out to me. And like I said, go to unleashyourlight.org and click the little PayPal link and you can get a copy of my book. It is $9.95 plus tax and shipping. There is still a free book on there, Simple Spirituality of the Self, which is all about overcoming those voices, that cacophony of loud voices that are drowning out the divine voice. I love every single one of you. I'm super grateful.
My name, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome. Hello, good morning. My name is Lee Kara. Hello, 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 and welcome. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome, welcome, and welcome. Good morning. My name is Lee Kara. Hello, hello, good morning. Welcome, welcome. Hello, 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 hello. Good morning, everyone. Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, 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 and welcome. Hello, 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 and welcome. Hello, hello, and welcome. Hello, 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 and welcome. Hello, hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome. Hello, 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 welcome. Hello, 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 good morning and welcome. Hello, 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 good morning and welcome. Hello, 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 and welcome, welcome. Morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, welcome. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome. Hello, good morning, everyone, and welcome. My name is Lee Kara, and this is Unleash Your Light.